Welcome to MojoTalks. My name is Eric, and joining me today we have Manny, director of MojoTalks. How you doing?
I'm very good, Eric.
All right, and Ricky, who's a producer at Mojo Plays, our video game channel. And today we're doing something pretty cool. We're actually going to be asking the question, what if Deadpool was recast in the 1980s? Because we did this recently with Avengers, cast in the 90s. That was a lot of fun, and it was this gang. And so we've reconvened, and we're looking at Deadpool in the 80s. Let's get right to it. We won't start, not the full payload. Let's ease into it.
Yeah.
We start with Colossus.
Yeah.
So, Manny, starting with you, if you were to cast Colossus with 80s actors, who would you choose?
If I was to cast Colossus in the 1980s, I actually completely phoned it in for this entry, and I went Dolph Lundgren.
I know.
Oh my God.
Most Russian guy in the 80s.
Yeah.
He just came off Rocky IV.
That's a
played
good choice.
Russian.
He would be perfect.
And in the 80s, we would have just painted him silver, and he's Colossus.
Exactly. No costume necessary.
No costume necessary. I mean, the guy's pretty jacked. We saw in Rocky. He also did Red Scorpion, which was a ridiculous movie.
And he's coming back in Creed 2.
Yes, lots of fun.
I'm very excited about that.
So I picked, that's my pick for Colossus. Very simple, very straightforward. I don't think we should
I can't fault you for it. It's a perfect choice. What about you?
Well, I phoned it in even more, and I just picked Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay.
I mean, Austrian, super jacked, obviously. Action star of the 80s. Everybody knows, like, can't escape Arnold. I think, again, just paint him silver, get him that crew cut, and he's good to go.
So basically Commando. Just take Commando.
Pretty much.
Schwarzenegger. That works. I can't tell who I like better between both of yours. They're both perfect choices.
What's your pick? That's what I want to hear.
Okay, I went way out of left field here. Do you guys remember Revenge of the Nerds?
Yes.
Remember Ogre?
Oh, man. That is really out of left field.
I'm going Ogre.
That's cool.
Donald Gibb, Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds. I think, it obviously a little bit different than those two choices, but he was massive. And a couple of interesting tidbits. So he was, like, if you look at his IMDb, over 100 different roles, or something, close to 100. He was in everywhere on TV in the 80s. Simon and Simon, Hardcastle and McCormick, the A-Team, Magnum P.I., Knight Rider, MacGyver. Not to mention, all the Nerds movies, and Meatballs, and Bloodsport, and you might not know this, or I would hope you would know this, uncredited role in Conan the Barbarian.
Oh, yeah.
So with Schwarzenegger.
Okay.
He's got the rep.
Right, exactly.
I don't know. I'm not from the 80s. I'm not from that
Eric
world,
is the oldest guy here.
I'm ancient. All right, on to the next one. We're not going to do Deadpool yet. We're going to go this time with Copycat. Manny?
I picked Linda Hamilton.
Ooh.
Basically, Sarah Connor herself.
Interesting.
She has, as we've seen in the first one, she's a bit scared, doesn't know her power. And then in the second one, she kind of becomes, in Terminator 2 in 1992, she becomes this badass. So I feel like she's a good pick to be the kind of like the sly, reserved type of character that we saw in the movie. And I think it just works well.
And then once she discovers her powers,
she becomes like this, like this nice badass. So for me, I think that's a solid pick for Copycat. Is Linda Hamilton?
Yeah. Okay, it's just the hair. You just color her hair black, and I think she's good to
pretty
go.
much.
Okay, what about you, Ricky?
Demi Moore.
Oh, I thought about it.
Yeah.
I thought about it.
Yeah, she did G.I. Jane,
Yeah.
which was pretty cool. And she also has the comedy chops too, so she can go toe to toe with whoever would be playing Deadpool. Once the mutant powers come out, I think she totally kick ass.
And she had the attitude too.
Yeah.
I feel like Demi Moore would be a perfect Domino.
Oh yeah, that's also very good.
I think that would be a good
cast.
fit. Yeah.
All right, you guys ready for mine?
Yeah.
Who's yours?
It's interesting that you should mention Sarah Connor because I went with Ali Sheedy. Oh. I don't know if you know this, but Ali Sheedy was actually in the running to play Sarah Connor.
Interesting.
Look at that, yeah.
Wow.
So Ali Sheedy.
TIL. Today I learned.
Ali Sheedy, of course, from The Breakfast Club and St. Elmo's Fire. She was also in Short Circuit too. I don't know if you guys knew
I loved the first Short Circuit. I loved the first Short Circuit, man. Oh my God.
I think a Short Circuit, I short-circuited my VCR with how many times. I must have played that as a kid.
Absolutely, yeah. Like my dad would play it on repeat.
Yeah,
It would just be
pretty much.
She also turned down the role for the lead role in Wild Orchid. With Mickey Rourke. So, she also could have had that really sex pot appeal. So Ali Sheedy is my choice.
Very solid.
Okay, let's go on to the next.
So I'll move on to my pick actually. For Weasel.
For Weasel. Okay, let's do Weasel. Right, because we know TJ Miller's not coming back.
Yeah, TJ Miller's not coming back. And I picked a subtle smartass from the 80s. I feel that deserved a little more credit. And he's had a bit of a comeback lately. I picked Christian Slater.
Oh man, Christian Slater.
I was looking at some early sketches of Weasel and what he looked like. He kind of had like that down hair. And if you look at his hair in actually in Robin Hood with Kevin Costner,
You love Robin.
he's kind of got the
loves
same.
Robin Hood.
Yeah, he's kind of got the same hairdo as T.J. Miller now. So I just feel like if it was the '80s, they were just like interchangeable, you know. And he was like up and coming in his career. He didn't get a lot of, you know.
Oh, pump up the volume and Heather's. Was he in Heather's?
I don't remember.
Anyways, you'll
Tell us in the comments
There you
below
go.
if he was in Heather's, because we obviously don't have time to Google it. So
How about you?
Another smart-ass funny guy, Matthew Broderick.
Oh, who I had considered for Deadpool, by the way.
Oh, that's
But-
crazy, but interesting, but crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think also like physically, like I've seen pictures of him lately with the thick rimmed glasses, and I was like, man,
Yeah,
this guy
makes sense.
He can play. He can definitely play Weasel. Like he's got the funny attitude, you know. He could take the back seat, and like I think he would be fun to watch for sure.
So I thought of casting him as Deadpool, but then I remembered at the end of Deadpool, in the post-credit scene, he's actually doing
Right.
Ferris Bueller. So that
Right,
would be
yeah,
too
it would
close
be
to
too
home.
meta. It would be too crazy.
But I chose someone kind of similar to that. I went with, and I had a couple of different choices, but I went with John Cryer.
Oh,
Yeah.
I actually thought, I
yeah.
thought of him too when I was going over the list. I was like, man, John Cryer's done a lot of stuff, and like he's definitely got that like funny kind of, like, you know, you can make the little comments and like egg him on. That's a good choice.
that is a solid choice.
Yeah, Ducky Dale in Pretty in Pink, 2.5 Men, but he's also, you know, he was in, what was it? He's currently the voice of Felix Faust in Justice League Action. So he does have some superhero cred now. And he was in Two Guys, a Girl, in a Pizza Place with Ryan Reynolds.
yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
Throwbacks.
All right, so we've done Colossus, Weasel, Copycat. What about Nagasonic Teenage Warhead? Ooh. That is a tough one.
I have a solid one.
Okay, let's
I
start
have
with
a
you.
solid one. You mentioned the Breakfast Club before.
Yeah, Ali Sheedy.
So who else was in the Breakfast Club?
Molly Ringwald.
She's like the '80s star.
She is the '80s
Like
shave her
attitude.
head and
She is the '80s attitude girl.
Okay.
And I figure, you know what? That would be a good fit. I don't know. I just see it. Some of the stills we see of Negasonic now, put that in the '80s. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
a perfect fit for me.
I'm also thinking of her G.I. Jane, by the way. Demi Moore could have done that with that haircut.
But what I was thinking was, you know, Winona Ryder. I saw Beetlejuice with the
Mm.
short hair, and I was like, you know, if you got her up and gave her that like angsty attitude, Winona Ryder could kick ass as Negasonic.
Yeah.
I think you guys are better than me. I went with Phoebe Cates. I don't know if you
Okay.
remember the.
I don't even know who that is.
More obscure. I did look at. I did see her through the '80s roundup research.
Iconic scene, if we could see it right now, of Fast Times at Ridgemont High when she's in the that iconic red bikini. That was.
The pool scene.
yeah.
There we go. Now you guys
Okay,
know.
now
what
we
I'm
know,
talking
yeah,
about.
now we
Okay.
know.
We'll
All right.
remember that. We've all seen that.
Okay, so let's do Deadpool because we have a wild card. You know, we know that Cable is going to be in this movie, so let's not do Cable yet. Let's do Deadpool, and then we'll come back to
Deadpool.
Cable. So Deadpool, this is a tough one. I went through a lot
Yeah.
of different iterations. Manny, who are you going with?
So here's my thing. I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but I picked Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Whoa!
Hold on, let me finish, because it sounds ridiculous.
No.
Jean-Claude Van Damme's got the physicality.
Yeah.
He's got the body to be Deadpool, but he does not have the acting.
That's for sure.
He is atrocious, and he's in a mask. And a lot of people don't know that he was originally the Predator. When they did some screen tests, there's some footage online that you see him kind of trying the Predator suit, and the movement is there, but he's like, no, this costume's uncomfortable, I'm out. So let's take a trip back to 1984. Van Damme is not the big star yet, but he's got the martial arts chops, he's got the body to pull it off. Who would be the perfect Deadpool in the 80s? As his voice is George Carlin.
Oh my God, dude, that's just a crazy fusion.
The king of calling it like it is,
Yeah.
one of the original best.
So
truth-telling.
Carlin is the voice.
Carlin is the
and
voice.
Van
That is
Damme
what we're
is the
hearing.
body.
Oh, man,
Yeah.
that is,
And Van Damme is the body. He is doing all the kicks, playing with the swords,
I'd like to
shooting
see
the
that.
guns.
Okay.
And
Jesus.
that is my pick. That would be Deadpool of the 80s. I think is the perfect amalgamation.
That's pretty good. Okay. I so far I love your choice. Reggie?
Had to go with Harrison Ford. Had to go with Harrison Ford. He was the king of cool,
Yeah.
action star, the attitude down packed. He can be funny. He can be like just not give an F word. Like he was the ultimate cool dude, and he was, you know, he had the repertoire of like action films to back up the physicality.
Think about
right?
the 80s. He was the coolest guy in the world. He was Han Solo and Indiana Jones. There was no cooler person in the
He
world.
was also the president a few years after.
That's right. And then
So, I would have loved to see him. I would have loved to see him as Deadpool.
That's a good pick. I like that. That's pretty cool.
are you ready for mine?
Eric?
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's hear it.
It's out of the box. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Who's the fastest talking attitude guy in the 80s who did some action movies? I don't know. Mr. Eddie Murphy.
Oh man!
Oh, yeah.
Imagine
That
Eddie
would
Murphy.
that would be kind of crazy. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Eddie Murphy, I can't think of anyone who had the attitude, you know, the fast thinking, the improvising. Eddie Murphy would have been the perfect Deadpool. And imagine, had they done that back in the 80s, it would, you know, minds
It would have been
blown.
perfect.
Yeah, mine would
Yeah.
have been blown. Absolutely.
So, but I love both of your picks. So far, these are great casts.
So if anybody wants to supercut Beverly Hills Cop dialogue under some Deadpool footage,
That would be
we can
amazing.
kind of get a preview of that. Put
Please do that in the
Do that
comments.
and post it in the comments below, and we'll share it on whatever social media platform
That's an
we
amazing
think.
idea.
We'll share it on the WatchMojo page. I'm making that call now.
All right.
It'll get us in trouble with the suits, but
Ah.
I'm Manny. I can't get in trouble.
How would you like for me to have the IRS come down here and crawl up your ass with a microscope? Because they'll do it. I've seen them do it. It's not a pretty sight.
All right, let's get to Cable.
Cable, yes,
Yeah.
Cable.
Cable. So, Manny, who you got?
So me, I'm thinking attitude, the build, kind of can't be bothered, still can't be bothered today. It's Mickey Rourke.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And in the 80s, there's some movies where he had some long hair.
Yeah.
I think we saw some Cable, some artists drew him with long hair, throw in a contact, you know, one of those 80s style fake robotic arms, and Mickey Rourke could just not care, and he just delivers his dialogue.
And
Super cool.
We even saw him in Iron Man 2,
And he was in Iron Man 2.
Oh yeah.
so
This is he was
got
the bad
action
guy.
comic book
cred.
movies are not beneath him.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so I think he's a great actor, and you know, who better to banter with George Carlin's VO, but super attitude, Mickey Rourke. That's my pick.
I'd love to see that. Ricky?
I actually considered Mickey Rourke for the role. I looked at some of his stuff and I did feel like he was a bit too soft-spoken sometimes.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe not Cable. But I have two guys, but I'll tell you
Okay,
the
go.
one that I find most interesting would be Val Kilmer.
Ooh, okay.
But then I also
Yeah.
had Dolph Lundgren.
Dolph Lundgren.
As like,
I think visually, Dolph Lundgren.
and also the guy's, you know, he's a legit genius, right?
yeah.
Who, Dolph Lundgren?
Yeah, he's got an IQ of 160 and like a master's of like chemical engineering. So he's like a total like badass. He's built like a truck and he's super smart.
You remember my story from last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have Dad Speaks 96? If you don't know the reference, then go check out our Avengers Dreamcast.
iCard.
And boom. And here's mine. Okay, so who's playing Cable in the new one?
Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin.
So who should play it in the 80s?
Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin's dad.
That's
What was his
James
name?
Brolin.
James Brolin.
James Brolin, who
Good, yeah.
actually was in the original Westworld movie
Yes.
and played the main character in the original Amityville Horror, which was then
Redone
reprised
by
Ryan
Ryan
Reynolds.
Reynolds. Ladies and
Look at
gentlemen, Eric has taken it full circle and has done a much better job in
No
his
way,
research
no, no.
than
That
all
was
of
great.
us.
That was
in his
that's a great
research.
pick. That is a great pick.
Now these are, you guys have to tell us who you think has the best list. I don't know, this is a tough call. These are all really great.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ideas from all angles.
Yeah. So that's it. Let us know what you think in the comments. Do that thing that Manny said, where you put Eddie Murphy's voice over some of the Merc with the Mouth's antics.
How would you like for me to have the IRS come down here and crawl up your ass with a microscope? Because they'll do it. I've seen them do it. It's not a pretty sight.
And thank you guys for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Phoebe, for directing.
Thanks, Phoebe.
Thank you guys for being here. We'll see you next time. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.